Today's video, we are going to be showcasing the M1 Abrams 1.77 live server on arcade battles. Ooh! You've got to be kidding me. What the heck? How is that even a thing? Howdy folks, Sauber here. Welcome back to the channel. I want to apologize in advance apologize for that salty intro. You saw that correctly. I was driving at full speed to on the bridge on Tunisia, and for no apparent reason, the game decides, nope, comrade, time for you to go home and eat dinner. I'm serious. Well, not that it said that, but when I was playing that battle, it was around dinner time. So I was like, well, I guess that's the game's way of telling me you gotta go eat dinner. But seriously, there was no reason for that to happen. I have no idea why it thought I needed to just get crew knocked out, as if I went 45 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour straight into a wall. And when I say a wall, I mean like a hard wall, not a brick wall, because obviously a tank can break through that. I mean, issues like that have happened before, but that was a long time ago. Like, I remember in my M60, or not my M60, my M46 in 1.53, where I hit a fence, not a wooden fence, but like the guardrail on a bridge on Eastern Europe, and it blew me up. When I say blew up, I mean like it knocked out my crew like I was in a car wreck. I mean, but that was like, what, 2 years ago? 2016? There's no reason for that to happen now. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off that, because that's just making me salty. So, the M1 Abrams in arcade. Ugh, I have to admit, this was pretty painful to try to make. The M1 is just so much better in arcade because, excuse me, so much better in realistic because no markers, I mean, like no player markers and no aim markers. You just use skill and accuracy. Because in arcade, I don't know if it was because I was amongst the day one players. When I say day one, I mean like M1 comes out and you spend eagles to boost it, as well as get mods for it, modifications that is. I don't know why, but everybody was going after me, except in this battle and the battle following it, this video. They kept aiming for my lower plate, the weak spot under my turret. It was a nightmare. But I later came to think, what am I doing wrong? And then I realized I wasn't practicing what I preached. I wasn't treating it like a Leo or an MBT/KPZ7. I was treating it like its younger brother, the M1A1, just brawling through, expecting to absorb all kinds of hits, when even the Leopard A1A1, with its Tier 4 APFS DS round, I forgot what it's called. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, here it is. The DM23 APFS DS shot, which can, wait for it, penetrate 380 millimeters of armor at not 10 meters, but 100 meters. So it can penetrate 5 more millimeters of armor, totaling 385 millimeters at 10 meters. Yeah. How convenient is that? Bear in mind, this is not a 9.0 or 9.3 tank. It's an 8.3 tank. So at 8.3, you have a shell that can pen T-64As from the front and M1 Abrams lower plate from the front from at least 100 meters. Yeah. So all in all, just treat the M1 Abrams, as I mentioned in my last video, as a light/medium tank. Light in tank in terms of mobility, medium in terms of armor, because of its overall armor protection not being as good as its peers. I'm not going to delve into that again because I mentioned that in part 1 in this video. If you haven't seen that part yet, I recommend you stop here, go watch part 1, then come back, so the gaps can be filled, so to speak. But in this battle, I actually enjoyed it very much here. I'm kind of leaning towards realistic, because at lower tiers, and I've said this before where I like arcade better. This was with the old meta when the MBT-70 was the top tier tank. And obviously it didn't have the strongest armor comparison with the T-64 or Chieftain. But it was light and mobile, kind of comparable to the Leopard tanks. And now the Abrams is now the top dog. I'm not saying the MBT-70 is not a good tank anymore, it's just at the moment the M1 and its contemporaries reign supreme. The MBT-70 can still do damage, and one of this guy, bless his heart, he just kept ramming me, and well, not when I say kept ramming me, I meant in that instant, not the whole battle. Some people just don't know how to give free space. But to deviate a little bit, this battle was one of those examples of a steamroll. Probably one of the shortest battles I've been in a top tier in arcade. 8 minutes and 50 seconds. That is a super quick battle. Capped all 3 points, kept them till the end of the battle. It was insanity. I mean, it was fun because it kind of, I like to call this battle the Yoids Coalition, because this is like a coalition of tanks from different nations, because it's arcade battles, going up against another coalition and just utterly steamrolling them. Now, sometimes it's not fun for either side, especially the losing side. But other times, if you're on the winning side, it can be fun, because knowing you got a good score, you contributed to your team, and you have that satisfaction knowing that you helped win the battle. But anyway, going back to the M1 Abrams, it not having the best... No, I already mentioned that, I'm sorry. So, all in all in arcade, sorry if I'm repeating myself, I have a bad tendency of doing that. It is a fun tank. And in arcade, if you just treat it like you should and play it right, whether if you flank or go straight at them, if you play it right, you are going to love this tank. Now, I'm going to go back a little bit on the new maps. I did not realize that Fields of Poland was huge now. Just like when I played it the other day, it is just like the old large Poland map that I once knew, minus the obvious terrain changes that were implemented in 1.77, but nonetheless, it's just as I remembered it. Huge, accompanied the unused part, well, that used to be unused. It is fun. Although now, what I wonder is, why can't we get those maps more often? Like, for like rank 5, rank 6? Because so far, the only large map that I've gotten is Sinai. Don't get me wrong, I do like Sinai, but I would like to play on surroundings of Volakalamsk or European Providence. This is not European Providence here, this is the standard Eastern Europe map. The original version of European Providence. European Providence being the larger version of Eastern Europe. And then especially Fields of Poland. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that Fields of Poland used to be a small map. Accompanying the southern portion of the Poland map in which the town was inaccessible. But now, the new fields of Poland is huge. So, yeah, why can't... Now, I know Matchmaker can be a little finicky and funny when it comes to map selections. Like, when I was watching Fly stream, when he was playing RB, he didn't just play the Abrams, he also did the Leopard 2K and the T-64B and the Challenger. Oh, no, he didn't play the Challenger, because, no pun intended, he spent all his monies on the other tanks. He didn't have any left over for the Challenger. He's like, I am so sorry, guys. I am broke. He even got broke with SL, and I'm like, yep, I've been there before. There were times when I was, for example, when I got the MiG-17, I was broke. I barely had enough SL to train it to a cruise slot. By the time I finished it, I only had like 5,000 silver left. And I asked the players in chat, what happens, like, is it possible to get into a deficit? And someone said, thank goodness I ended up finding out from a friend that that guy was just being a mean troll, but he said that if you go into a deficit, your account gets banned. And I thought, well, I don't think it would get banned, but surely it would have a severe negative consequence. But thankfully, it only meant that you couldn't buy shells, you couldn't buy upgrades, you couldn't repair your vehicles until you made up that deficit and got more silver. But yeah, I'm sure we've all been there and done that, where we've gotten in deficits, and they're no fun. But anyway, going back to the maps and Matchmaker, Fly kept getting Korea, or 38th parallel, whatever you want to call it. And while I was trying to make this video, and the video before it, I only got Korea once, and that was in arcade. In realistic, I either got, what's the name of that map? Abandoned Factory, which I do love Abandoned Factory. Excuse me, not Tunisia. Second Battle of El Alamein, or Eastern Europe. That was it, mainly. Those three maps. So, I certainly would like to play on the new large maps, but unfortunately, you can't pick your own maps. And it was suggested at one point to make a map, not a map blacklist, but a preference as to what maps you could play on. But so far that hasn't been implemented, and I'm fairly certain it's because, like, what if the preferences of different maps was so varied that it would totally increase the queue times? Well, this is just my 2 cents on the matter, but what if it was more simplified? Like, for example, you had genres of maps to play. Now, I don't know how exactly that would work, but the basic principle would be, would you prefer to get... Because I know some players do not like large maps, particularly if they're in slow tanks or lower tiers. So the simple option would be, would you allow the matchmaker to put you in large maps, or would you prefer the conventional medium small maps? Deviate a little again. Yeah. Sometimes I don't understand how the armor penetration works, and what I mean by that is the T-54's side plate, which I aimed at, was only 160 millimeters thick, whereas my M774 shot could penetrate 410 millimeters of armor at 100 meters. I don't know if it's internet connection or maybe even a realistic RNG. And when I say that, I mean, like, for example, where the shell, because no shell is perfect, even in real life. Or, I said that backwards, even in the game. Reflecting on real life possibilities, like the shell could be a dud, it may not be able to penetrate as thick as armor as it should be able to for various reasons. Maybe it was a manufacturer defect. But, like, for example, one time I was playing my Leopard A1 in arcade. And this was back in, like, 1.71 or 1.73. I came up on a T-10M that I was flanking, and I took a shot at his side armor. It was a Heat FS shell, and it did nothing. And then I thought, oh man, I'm dead, because he's going to get the drop on me before I can reload, because he turned his turret to me. And then something totally took me by surprise. He shoots me, hits my ammo, and it only goes black. Yeah. Hits the ammo, does nothing. Nothing. And I thought, well, good for me. Now I can get a second chance. And that second chance came, and I took my shot at his lower plate, where his ammo was, and he goes kaboom. So yeah, shells tend to be funny like that. And it was even mentioned in I think it was a Thunder Show video, or not a Thunder Show video, the Shooting Range episode, which is a War Thunder show, where they talked about how occasionally shells don't deal the damage that they should, and they say, and I'll bet that a lot of you think, well, I hope that happens to me on the receiving end, because sometimes it's nice getting a second chance, whether it be you getting a second shot or a second chance at you not receiving any damage or receiving very little to minuscule damage. So yeah, the M1, playing it as a light/medium tank, if you play your cards right, you can definitely make good, ample use of it, and definitely enjoy it. And granted, you're not invincible. As you saw there, I cheated death with that challenge, or was it a challenge or a chieftain? Good grief, I already forgot. But somehow he got three out of 4 crew members dead, not all at once. But thankfully, because it was an arcade, I had the crew replenishment, and I don't know if he just wasn't aiming right, or I just got lucky, but I was able to replenish my crew, repair, and get out of there alive. And hey buddy, that was mine. You know what? I'm gonna do the same thing to you. Now that I just saw that, we shot at the same time. And yeah, I got the credit. Well, serves him right. We got even. Kill stealing's no fun, but if you can steal it from the guy that stole yours, it's so satisfying, because you're like, yeah, we're even. It's all good, buddy. So, in conclusion, it'll be interesting to see once everybody gets their MBTs, M1, Leo 2K, T64 Bravo, Challenger 1, and the AMX-30 V2, how all of them will perform together in the matchmaker. So, that is it. Thanks for watching. Ugh, my phone. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed these videos so far. Thank you so much for the views and support. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day, and until next time, peace out.